Over the past 2.5 years, global oil has been subject to demand shocks and supply shocks, and sometimes both simultaneously. To combat the shock, most companies resorted to substantial price hikes, which impacted demand. However, recently, oil prices have begun to decrease in the regional market as a result of softening in international rates. Now, will that aid in the recovery of demand, especially in the rural markets? Will that also lead to improved companies as well as the overall industry's margins? We have Sanjeev Asthana, CEO of Patanjali Food Limited, to answer all of this. Thank you, sir, for joining us at BQ Prime.
Thank you.
So let's first talk about your current reading of the consumer sentiments. The first half of the fiscal was marked with high inflation and slowdown in rural demand that weighed on profitability. Are we seeing any kind of improvement?
So there is a lot of change that we're witnessing now. That you're right. There was a sudden drop in the commodity prices in the second quarter this year, which was led by obviously a lot of regulatory changes and external situations which no one had control over. So, for example, Indonesia, after banning the oil exports, suddenly sort of changed that and allowed the oil to be exported again. Likewise, the Russia-Ukraine war, which was happening, initially there was a lot of difficulty on supply chains. Subsequent to that, this grain corridor deal was signed, and a lot of oil found its exit, out of Ukraine and Russia both. So broadly, the factors which were external, and likewise, one more point I'd like to add was on the biodiesel mandates across the world. So a lot of changes occurred, which allowed the edible oil prices to suddenly collapse, an unprecedented collapse. Prices went down between 20 to 35%. And to adjust to such a drop is never easy. And that's what the companies went through. To your second question, that it was to the second quarter, typically the rural demand was down about 3.5, 4%, and the sentiment was low. Now we're witnessing a sudden surge in demand on account of the Diwali season, what we saw in October. Then we saw the marriage season as upon us with a huge demand, and of course, typically in the second half of the year, once the harvests happen, farmers tend to get a lot of money in the rural economy. Likewise, the rural economy itself normally attains a buoyancy. So we're expecting that this will start to pick up now. So quarter three and quarter four look very robust from the rural demand perspective also now.
Right, sir. Also, the Food Ministry in a recent briefing has indicated that prices are likely to come down further due to the decline in global prices. Are we expected to pass on those prices to the market?
So if the prices come down, definitely the benefit is always passed on to the consumer. You do know that edible oil works on a largely around pass-through principle. So because there's not too much available to the processors and the importers to keep with them, so normally it would happen automatically itself. But having said that,
Right.
I think we are aligned to the government priorities that any inflation adjustment that happens if the prices come down, certainly we are aligned to the government in terms of taking price reductions as well.
Okay, but if I have to look at the overall inflation and its impact on the margins, is it bottoming out? Is the pressure bottoming out? How do you see?
The pressure that we saw in the Q2, that certainly is bottoming out. I think the overall the way the demand momentum is building up in the country, the way prices have softened, which has helped demand increase. So to that extent, I think companies' bottom lines and also the performance should certainly see an uptick quite a significant order.
That's and how much does rural contribute to your overall sales?
So currently, the rural urban split for us would be about 35-65. So larger part continues to go into the urban areas, but it is picking up. So we are actually expanding quite well on both fronts. On the rural market side, we continue to deepen our inroads into smaller towns. So, for example, all the towns with 20,000 population above, we want to make sure that we got a distributor there. Likewise, in the urban areas also, the demand uptick is there. So it's broadly well-balanced portfolio of sales that we have in the country. So both urban and rural, that mix of two-thirds, one-third continues.
Right. So we have also seen demand for premium products, picking up. What is your premiumization strategy? We would like to know.
So there's a lot of work which we've done. In fact, we've been sort of all the businesses are looking at premiumizing the offering that we have. So a couple of examples, that I'd like to share with you. On the biscuits, we are very large players. So this year we should do close to about 1,400 crores of business in the biscuits. And a lot of biscuits, as you do know, that there's always a price pressure. So we are looking at launching newer variants with the added value and newer features or characteristics in the biscuit itself, and complete rebranding exercises going on. So that is one part in that category of biscuits and confectionery. There's a lot of work going on.
Mhm.
Similarly, in the Nutella brand, we're working on offering the premium product offering by adding, launching new variants in the edible oil itself on the
Right.
Nutella. So you will hear and see a lot of our new launches in next few months as we continue to make efforts toward the premiumization.
Okay, but we have also seen small packs continuing to be the popular choice among consumers. Are we seeing a reversal in that trend happening for both edible oil as well as foods?
So small packs will, are very much here to stay. There is a demand uptake and there's a momentum there. So that will certainly remain there. And there's no doubt about it. And that is what we spoke earlier as well in a lot of media channels, that small packs in India are very mainstay. So that is not reversing at all. What we are witnessing though is that
Mhm.
how it is adjusted in terms of our own strategy of moving
Right.
the larger packs and smaller packs at the same time.
All right, sir. So coming to your foods portfolio, you had set a target of 25 of taking your food portfolio to 25% of sales. Could you please tell us how do you plan to do that, and are you also actively looking at acquisitions?
So, answer to your second question is easy. Right now, no, there's no plan of acquisition because we've got a large enough portfolio and we've got very solid range that is available. So we will not look at acquisition. In
Okay.
terms of expanding the food business, we had very robust. It's just one quarter that food has been with us. So in that quarter, we registered a very solid growth in our business on the food side. We are seeing now for quarter two and quarter three and quarter four as to how the progress will happen. But the idea being that overall non-oil part of the business in the
Hmm.
revenue stream in next 5 years should be 50-50. Currently, it's sitting at about 80-20. So that's the
Okay.
effect. The oil continues to grow, but we want to make sure that the foods is expanding faster.
Okay. So how is the current quarter looking like in terms of demand? You mentioned about weddings and post Diwali demand to sustain. But at the same time, a lot of because of the robust demand, a lot of companies are also facing supply shortages. Is it also the same? Are you also facing the same thing?
Supply shortage, no, actually, it's pretty good. I think barring once in a while, you may use some sort of.
Products like butter and others, like we are seeing
Okay,
that it's
okay,
out of
okay.
shelves. So that is the context. Yes.
Yes. So not much really. I mean, you may have temporary sort of shortages around, but in
Mhm.
general, none that we should be alarmed about. So that has not been an issue, and we continue to supply quite aggressively, and
Mhm.
so that is not an issue at all.
Right. So in terms of marketing and advertising spends, are you also ramping up that aggressively given that demand is back as well as the season is right here?
Yes, so that there's a lot of work, which happens on the media side. We are ramping up our advertising and marketing. As I
Hmm.
mentioned, we are rebranding, a
Hmm.
lot of products that we currently have. And
Right.
likewise on the premiumization side, so certainly our ad and marketing spend is going to increase. And we are prepared, in the business plan itself. So that's
Right.
very much
So in
part of
terms of
the
marketing and
remit the
advertising
businesses
spends,
have,
are you also
that
ramping up
they
that
have to grow this. And so that will
is back
certainly be
as
doing a
well
lot
as
more.
okay. Just to sum up our entire conversation, when do you expect rural markets to bounce back and margins to improve? If you can just tell me about
So rural markets have already bounced back
it. Hmm.
because the harvest has happened
Hmm.
and marriage season is upon us. So what we saw the growth in the month of October, that momentum continues, and I'm expecting that this growth momentum will continue right till the end of this fiscal, and till we go into the next cycle when it takes a slight dip. So overall, it looks very good. Margins for the companies after the certainly the commodities companies which had exposure to the international commodities, which took
Hmm.
a dip in the second quarter, you will see a robust gain for all of them. And certainly, we are looking at a very good third quarter as far as our company is concerned.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us at Big Brain, sir.
Thank you so much.